Hey, what's going on? Jimmy McThrifty here with another video for you. Today we are talking about a clothing item that sells really well. You heard that right. I know, it's crazy. I have been reselling clothing for a while, and I got to admit, it's one of my least favorite categories. I usually tend to go with sporting goods, electronics, and toys because they sell fast. Clothing usually sells slowly, but that is not true with this clothing item. What if I told you that this clothing item had a sell-through rate of 59%? In the clothing category, that is pretty high. If there is a higher sell-through rate on a clothing item, comment down below. Let us know about what that is, because I want to start picking those up from the thrift stores. And so the item that I am talking about is the men's vest. That's right, men's vests. If you are not selling these, you might want to consider start selling these. And one of the reasons I love these is they're so easy to spot in the thrift store. You walk down the rack, you look for the shirt with no sleeves, and boom, there it is, right? And also, because it has no sleeves, there's less likelihood of there being defects. Really, just a couple zippers, and you're good to go. And so these things sell for really good money. They're easy to ship, often first class, maybe a padded flat rate envelope. Thrift stores haven't caught on to these, usually $6 or less for these. And one thing you want to pay attention to, some of these will actually be reversible. And if they are, the way you find out the brand and the size is look in the pocket. So don't give up on the vest just because you don't see a tag. If it is reversible, just look in the pocket. Now, if you don't find a size tag anywhere on it, I just leave it behind. That's just me. If I don't know what brand it is or what size it is, they can keep it. But those are a few things you want to pay attention to. Also, you'll see a material tag, usually down here at the bottom. And on puffer vests, if it says down, 80% down, or you see goose feather or something like that, look it up. Chances are it's going to be even more valuable. So I always try to look for the ones that got little feathers poking out. That helps me quite a bit. The other thing is I'm talking about men's vests today, but sometimes they get put in the women's category. And so you might want to just stroll through the women's vests real quick and see if any other vests got left behind, or even some women's vests can be valuable, though it doesn't seem that they have as much value as the men's vests. And so what I want to do is just kind of get into some of these brands that you want to be looking out for so that when you're out thrifting, you can find some things to flip on eBay for a profit. Because if you've been out in the thrift stores, you know it's getting harder and harder to find profitable items that aren't overpriced by the thrift stores. But I think you can find some of these. In fact, just yesterday, I went out and found some profitable vests, and I'll share those with you here a little later in the video. But first up, you got to talk about Patagonia vests. I love these. I personally own these. I actually bought these off of eBay. I have no problem paying for these. And so all the vests I'm going to be looking at are in pre-owned condition. All the vests, I want to let you know what the sell-through rate is. If you're new to eBay, what that means is you're comparing the listed items, the number that are listed versus the number that are sold in the last 90 days. And you will be surprised at the sell-through rate on some of these vests, I promise you. But this is Patagonia. And of course, if you see that little label really on anything, coats, vests, pants, whatever, you probably want to look it up. If it's only a few bucks at a garage sale, you probably want to pick it up. But Patagonia vests, 2,100 listed right now on eBay, 3,800 sold. We're talking 181% sell-through rate. That means if you price this thing reasonably, it's going to be out the door in 45 days or less. So if you see these, pick them up. Next brand I want to talk about is Carhartt. And we talked about Carhartt in the jeans video, but you definitely want to look out for them in the vests. They come in this puffer style. They also come in the workwear style. I haven't found one of those yet. I really want one. If it's in my size, I'm keeping it for myself. And you'll notice about this one, it's actually got custom embroidery. A lot of these vests are going to have logos, you know, from a company that was doing some kind of a giveaway for their employees or whatever. And you might think, oh, I probably should leave it behind. But if it's cheap enough, go ahead and pick it up anyway. I've already had offers on this one. I have no idea what F1 company is, but this is an in-demand puffer vest, and so I know it's going to sell. And check out the sell-through on Carhartt vests. Buckle your seatbelts here, friends. 1,100 listed, 2,500 sold, 227%. We're talking about clothing here. You're not going to find that anywhere else, so be on the lookout for Carhartt. In a similar way is Duluth Trading Company, also a workwear company. I was just in one of their stores yesterday. This sells new for $80. And I picked this up, actually found two of these at a thrift store. They were $6 or less. Duluth currently 613 listed, 438 sold, 71% sell-through rate on Duluth Trading vests, which is another thing. When you find vests, a lot of times you'll find more than one. You might find two of them, because people often buy more than one of these and probably donate them at the same time. So look around, there might be another if you find one. Another brand to be on the lookout for is Woolrich. You might be familiar with this when it comes to their flannel shirts and other things, but they have lots and lots of vests, different styles. And so I picked this one up. This one's really cool. It's got an American flag logo. I know I'm not going to have any trouble selling this. 1,400 currently listed, 895 sold, 64% sell-through on Woolrich. Next up is a brand called Orvis, and they make a lot of different styles. This is a vintage leather Orvis. We got this at an online auction, and we paid up for this. Normally, I don't like paying up for clothing, but I looked up comps, and I'll put one on the screen for you there today, because this is a vintage leather Orvis vest, and these things go for really good money. They also make more of the fabric type vests, those kinds of things, but really good sell-through on this brand. 679 currently listed, 962 sold, 142% on the Orvis vest. So keep your eye out for that. Another thing, and this particular brand, I like finding their shorts too, by the way, but this is FootJoy. This is a golf brand. You'll see the FJ on the back. Again, I found a pair of these vests. There was more than one that they had at the thrift, but these things sell really well. This is the quarter zip. 818 listed, 653 sold, 80% sell-through rate on the FootJoy vest. And so keep a lookout for those. Sometimes you'll find Columbias. Those are kind of dull and boring. I usually don't see much value in those. Sometimes you'll see sports-themed ones. Those are really hard to sell because you got to find somebody that likes that team and likes vests and wears that size. With the exception of the Mike Ditka vest, usually I leave the sports team vests behind. Another vest, I never heard of this brand. I was glad I looked it up. This is Scott E. Vest. I guess it's all one word. I don't really understand it. Kind of a weird style. It's got some kind of weird keychain hanging on there. But nonetheless, these have really good sell-through. These are really popular. 305 listed, 646 sold, 212% sell-through rate. I told you guys, this is clothing, but this stuff sells really fast. Now, I don't have an example of this, but you probably are familiar with this brand. It is the North Face, and it will come generally in a puffer style, and some of them even have goose feather. Those are really valuable. So if you see a North Face puffer vest, men's or women's really, go ahead and look that up, because 1,200 listed, 2,300 sold, 192% sell-through rate on the North Face vests in pre-owned condition. Now, I had to do a little research. These are just some things that I like to look for. Sometimes you go to that estate sale and you're looking through the clothing and you can tell you're in a really nice home. I'm in the Denver area. I mean, we go into multi-million-dollar homes and these people can afford designer clothing. And I don't know designer brands because, well, I don't buy them. But here's some brands that the estate sale company may not recognize and can be worth a lot of money. So we just want to kind of keep these in mind as you're looking there. One of them, I'm probably not going to pronounce this right, Brunella Cucinelli, really expensive, really high end. Another one is Moncler, M-O-N-C-L-E-R. Pay attention if you see that brand. Another brand to look for is Canada Goose, and I think those can be identified. I believe there's a round patch, a round tag on the front of most of those. Another brand we mentioned in our jeans video is the Ralph Lauren RRL. They did come out with some vests, really neat. Most of them are vintage, and also some just Ralph Lauren, even some newer pieces can be worth a lot of money. Again, pay attention to that material tag. That will give you an indicator about how valuable they are. And another brand is Filson. So if you see any of those brands at an estate sale, do not pass them up. Look those up, pick those up, and you will not be disappointed that you did. Hey, some other vests I didn't have a chance to bring you examples of. Look for fishing vests, look for hunting vests. You're going to see those at garage sales all the time, people cleaning out their garage. Maybe they don't fish anymore or hunt anymore. And if you can pick them up cheap enough, they can often be worth it. And one of my favorites to sell is black leather motorcycle vests, because especially if they have Harley Davidson patches on the back, it really doesn't matter what brand they are. If they're black leather, people will buy them, and they search by those terms. So be sure to pick those up if you can get them for low enough price. I mentioned to you today how easy these are to pick up. I literally went out yesterday to just a couple of thrift stores and went through and looked through their vest section. And let me show you a few that I found, and I'll tell you how much I paid for them, because these don't often get priced very high. This is an Eddie Bauer vest, and it's a lamb's wool vest, and at first I didn't think it was going to be valuable, but then I saw a sold comp for about $30, and as you can see right there, $5 is what I paid for that. I'll take 5 into 30 all day long. So that's just a vintage Eddie Bauer. Told you to go through the women's section. That's where I found this one. Found a women's Carhartt vest. Really good pickup, $8. Glad to have that one. Here's one of those embroidered ones. If you can tell, it says Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. It is new with tags. They were only asking $6. Looked it up, saw comps for around 25, $30, and went ahead and picked this one up here. This one I just couldn't pass up. This is a new with tags Orvis, and I think it might even fit me. And so I paid up big money for this one, $15. I think they priced it up because they knew it was new with tags. But here's my question for you guys. Let me know. I'm contemplating doing this. You see this little logo over here? Now that does take the value down a little bit, but especially if I was going to keep this for myself. Here's what I'm wondering. Do you think I can remove that logo? Because it is just sewn in, and it's got the back stitching there. Maybe I can take a special kind of sewing scissors in the back of it. And this is, it hasn't been washed or anything, so that logo shouldn't be faded in yet. And this isn't a puffer style. This has got a little more forgiveness here, but it's just such a cool color, really comfortable. And so let me know, have you had any luck removing the logos on vests or jackets? I'd love to hear how you were able to do that. So I was excited to pick that one up. But love to hear from you guys. What vests have you been able to find out in the wild that we could be looking for, that we could be selling? Let's try to help each other with that. Well, that's all I've got for today's video, friend. I hope that was helpful. Be sure as you're going down those racks, look for the garments without sleeves. And hopefully you'll be able to turn some of those into some cash in your pocket. Well, hey, if this has been good for you, be sure to hit that like button. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video.